Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about the Balancer Wars and notably the launch of Aura Finance, which is the new CVX or convex-like layer being built on the top of Balancer. Importantly, today we'll go through what Aura Finance is all about, a quick background on what Balancer and the Balancer Wars are all about, and then we'll go into a quick overview of how you can be involved in Aura if you're interested. I do want to stress, though, that Aura in particular is a very, very new token. It's only been launched in the last few days, really. And anything that's happening in terms of their liquidity and their bootstrapping events, etc., is something we'll go through. Notably, of course, nothing in this video is financial advice. You need to do your own research, as always. And most importantly, if you like the content, please like the video and leave a comment down below. All right, so the Balancer Wars. The first thing you'll see here is one of the latest sort of memes that's been coming out, in particular from Aura, and the slaying of the bearer whale. What they're really talking about here is the recent capture by Aura of the largest position in terms of Balancer tokens. What does this all mean? Well, importantly, the first thing to understand is what Balancer is. Balancer itself is an AMM, so an automated market maker, and in that way, it's kind of similar to what you've seen previously with things like Uniswap or Curve. Also of interest, though, this place in Balancer, it acts as kind of like a portfolio manager, and you can see that in the top right there. What they seek to do is allow you to have positions of up to 8 different tokens in a single pool, which you can not only use to balance, to gain rewards essentially between those different tokens, but you can also auto balance the amount of those particular tokens you have. So it's kind of like an ETF where you get to keep all the different trade weights and trade pools rather than you would in some type of actual hedge fund. They pay out their rewards to these liquidity providers. So as you deposit into an LP, they pay out rewards in Balancer tokens, as well as BAA USD, which is that Balancer Aave USD token. What's most interesting is that Balancer has existed for a number of years, but they've only recently launched their VE mechanics. This is their vote escrowed mechanics. What this means is this recent launch has meant that with the introduction of the VE mechanics, you're now able to vote for enhanced emissions or increased emissions to specific LPs. What does this mean? Well, so what it means is the launch of veBAL, so vote escrowed Balancer tokens. The veBAL itself is not just the Balancer token. This is the key component here. To get a veBAL, to get one of these voting sort of tokens, you need to actually mint one of these LP tokens. And that is a token made up of 80% Balancer and 20% ETH. So in other words, if you wanted to do that, you would need to put in relative to dollar weight, say $80 worth of Balancer and $20 worth of ETH to create that LP. That's, of course, an indicative number. What that'll enable you to do with that veBAL is you'll then be able to lock it, much like you do in Curve, in a system that decays over time. And the longer you lock it up for, the more of your vote weight you get. We can go through that a little bit later too. Notably, though, by having this veBAL, you're able to vote on not only proposals within the protocol, but you're also able to vote on specific pools. There are eligible pools. This is not every single liquidity pair, but there are eligible pools that you can then have votes on to increase the emissions of Balancer tokens and USD, like I mentioned previously, into those specific pools. The thing is, though, it's quite difficult as an individual to get the maximum boost up to 2.5 times on any particular LP you're after. And this is because of, again, the way that the sort of curve-like style of governance and voting is really achieved. So here comes Aura. Aura, in this instance, has the mission of essentially becoming, much like Convex is to Curve, becoming that sort of social coordinator and yield aggregator that brings together as much of the actual veBAL as it possibly can into creating a sort of single system that allows those who own the Aura token to then actually leverage these Balancer tokens, these veBAL tokens. So in becoming this CVX layer, Aura actually holds a whole lot of power, or seeks to at least, in how these voting emissions work. So what does it really mean? Well, what you'll see is, first off, and you can see this in the background here, that veBAL tokens are then one-way swapped, in other words, permanently swapped, to become AuraBAL tokens. So that's key there. A veBAL is the same as an AuraBAL, except that, in this instance, it's a one-way swap. There is no swap back the other way. There are, of course, liquidity pools, and you can have a look at that afterwards. So with the launch of Aura, what they sought to do first off was to gather as much of the AuraBAL as they possibly could. Sorry, as much of the veBAL, I should say, and bring that into AuraBAL. They started this initially, though, by getting some of those Aura tokens out there. And the first part of that was airdrops. Airdrops were brought across to sort of what are called power DeFi users. So those who already had significant veBAL positions or Balancer tokens within their wallets. Those who were VLCDX holders, and also those who were Lobster DAO NFT holders, because these were considered to be power DeFi users. People who owned a certain minimum amount, and there was a minimum, so it wasn't sort of dust that was being dropped, would be airdropped a series of these Aura tokens, which is that governance layer token. The next step was a liquidity bootstrapping pool, this LBP. What they sought to do here was again have a fair launch. So it was a sort of very high sort of initial starting price for Aura that then decayed over time. What this allowed is for as many people as possible who wanted to buy in could do so over a period of about 5 days. They then went into the Aura veBAL bootstrapping phase, and that's where we're at right now. Essentially what's happened is over a 10 or 20-day period, those who have veBAL, so if you have unlocked veBAL, voter squared balancer tokens, you can trade them into Aura, and what they will do is pay you increased emissions up to 2% of the total supply in Aura tokens right now to sort of bootstrap and to get as much of this veBAL into their system as they possibly can. The key for everything, and this is where it's mutually supporting, right? The key is that if you want to be an Aura veBAL supporter, or sorry, an Aura supporter, you want them to be the largest holders of veBAL. In other words, you want Aura to capture as much of that voting balancer token weight as possible, because if they have the most, then they've now got the weight of power to sort of increase their votes on specific pools and again provide the best possible emissions. It's very important in particular for the value of the Aura token. Because note, Aura veBAL is the trade, like we can see in the background there, the veBAL versus Aura veBAL. The Aura token itself is the governance token that directs where those Aura veBAL tokens will go. So it's very important for them to have as much as they possibly can. Aura has also launched with a number of key partners, and this will become important over the coming weeks as we can see some of the different things they're sort of developing. You'll notice Balancer Labs, not surprisingly, is in there as one of the key sort of bedrock institutions, and there's a number of people in the Balancer ecosystem themselves who are directly involved in the launch of Aura. You also see some other important and well-known sort of DAOs. So you've got Redacted Cartel, Badger, Fade Protocol, Olympus DAO, etc., who are basically all involved as initial launch partners. The last piece to talk to you here is really on how the bribe market will work. If you remember CBX or the convex layer, you remember there is not surprisingly a bribe market. The bribe market at this stage for Balancer has been moved across to Hidden Hand, which is a redacted product. For Aura, the expectation, although not guaranteed yet, is that this will also be the case for Aura, that a lot of the bribes will be managed through Hidden Hand, much like, once again, you'll see previously in things like Vodium or Union, stuff like that, that is working currently on the CBX layer. So you can expect that to be what's happening with bribes, and I'll show you that in a short while. The important thing to understand is, where does Aura stand now? And as of today, you'll note that Aura has taken over as the largest holder. So this purple element here on the pie chart here, the purple sort of hashed area, and you can again leave a link in the description down below to get to this, shows that the current largest holder of Aura veBAL, of veBAL is essentially Aura, who now own 22.47%, with the second highest amount being a previously all-dominating whale who controlled a significant percentage of these emissions. So it's very important to note Aura has recently taken the top spot to own the largest voting power of these veBAL tokens. So very interesting. What I'll do now is take you through some of the interesting sort of aspects of this particular war. So the first piece is, this is the balancer wars I talked about before from the site, and again, the link down below. This shows you the different sort of aspects. For the top holders, this is sort of key. You can see this part here in the middle. You can hopefully follow my mouse. 22.52% currently held by Aura veBAL, and then the second, which is that whale who's controlled things previously, owning the second amount here is at 22.39. So very recently, Aura has taken over. Notably, if you head across the balancer, you can understand a little bit more what I'm talking about here. You go to the balancer app and you can see the different sort of aspects. In veBAL itself, if you go across to veBAL, there's a few things. First is, if you scroll down, you can see this pools eligible for liquidity mining. And you'll note there's different sort of levels of liquidity mining and rewards that can happen to each pool. At the moment, that second largest element, that whale, is currently voting towards this cream wrapped ETH pool, and is currently generating extremely high returns on their specific token swaps, right? That's then enhanced, not surprisingly, by additional veBAL held by that whale. Notably, what Aura is seeking to do is to be able to have these kind of boosted pools on specific things that they want to do. And not surprising, there'll be bribes, etc., to provide additional liquidity across these different pools. Notably, though, if you want to actually get veBAL, what you'll do is you'll click on Get veBAL here, and you'll essentially be seeking to click on this Get 8020 BAL ETH here. What you're really doing there is, if you own Balancer or alternatively ETH in your wallet, you're looking to essentially make that trade and then mint into this Balancer ETH token. What is very important though, is you can mint this veBAL token, this 8020, but if you are interested in participating in Aura, you don't lock it. So do not lock as you go through it, instead hold it, and then you can head back to Aura. But again, I'll show you that in a moment. In addition, you can go straight to the balance of 5 pages to give you a better understanding of the entirety of what balance is all about and how it works with its ETFs and its sort of automated balancing sort of activities. I mentioned earlier as well what Aura is all about, and then we'll now go through a little bit into that. So Aura Finance, if you head across to Aura, you can go to Aura app.aura.finance, and essentially this will provide you the latest. If you're interested in staking, the very first step to do is to stake your Aura BAL, right? Mint and stake Aura BAL. So noting the page I was at before, if you have these tokens, this 80 BAL 20 rep ETH, I just want to highlight this here is the same as I showed you over here. If you want to do that, you'll have those in your wallet. That'll be your MetaMask wallet or whatever other wallet you choose. And you click here to do that one-way mint and then stake your Aura BAL tokens. You can, of course, not stake them if you're so inclined, but that is probably not something you'll do at this stage. So in this instance, you mint and then you'll stake that Aura BAL. Once you do that, you can head across to claim essentially, and this will let you know what you're actually getting. So for the next, I think 8-9 days thereabouts, noting today is the 22nd, if you've got Aura BAL staked in this pool, it's a boosted pool at the moment, and you'll be earning an APR of 400%. So you can expect to earn significant Aura tokens on your Aura BAL. All right. So just to be as clear as possible, you'll have balancer tokens and you'll have Aura tokens emitted to you. All right. So you'll have your balancer tokens, which you've minted into veBAL, you'll have Aura tokens emitted to you. The last part to look at here is locking your Aura tokens themselves. You may potentially, for example, if you click up here on Aura, this will tell you if you've been given the airdrop, and you can go through and check that with your specific address. It will connect your wallet and I'll tell you immediately. The Aura itself, and this is the last part to talk to, the anti-dumping sort of plan they've got. Any Aura you earn from either the claim aspect here from staking it, or alternatively that you earned in the airdrop, if you choose to take it all to your wallet straight away, you only get to keep 70%, and 30% will be taken as a penalty for you not locking it. If you lock it, however, you get to keep the full 100%. So there you go in terms of a broad summary. So once again, if you're interested in being involved in Aura, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. One is to simply buy Aura, the tokens yourselves, and you'll be buying that sort of governance weight later on. The other way at the moment, noting the boosted pools, is to buy balancer tokens, convert them into veBAL, that voter scroll balancer token, and then place that into here, essentially into Aura, lock it, and then earn those rewards. So again, farming in particular, for those who are interested in working on farming and interested in moving things on, in terms of building out the Aura ecosystem. Notably for this particular token, there's a lot of different things being built out for Aura, and I'd encourage you to read through any of the different documentation here in Aura Finance, which gives you a basic understanding through more about them, their launch plans, the flywheel. You can have a look at their community, first tokenomics, and their current, the DeFi legends who are behind the multi-sig. So in other words, it gets into a little bit more in security. There's an awful lot here to look at, as well as the hidden hand components in terms of balancer and how that'll play out with Aura in the near future. And I encourage you to take a look at Aura, in particular if you're bullish on the balancer wars and bullish on broadly convex more, as a wider ecosystem. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. If you'd like more deep dives on anything specifically regarding Aura or some of the other projects or programs that sort of building around it, then let me know in the comments down below. I look forward to seeing you all next time.